So good afternoon. It's 10 after 2, and we're going to call the Victoria County Municipal Council meeting for April 11th to order. Thank you. And with that, just prior to our meeting, we just want to make sure that we would like to acknowledge this meeting is being held in Unama'ki, one of 7 traditional districts, the Mi'kmaq, and the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. So with that, the agenda has been circulated to you. I just want to make a quick reference that we have regrets today from Councillor Longva is out of the province at present, and Councillor McDonald was unavailable due to personal issues today. So we have received their regrets, and those regrets will be entered into the minutes. So with that, the agenda has been circulated. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If we have neither, we have a motion to accept the agenda as circulated, please. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor McLeod. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. The agenda has been approved. So we have a couple of presenters for council today. Our first presenters today representing Ty Curran Daycare, and I hope I said that reasonably close. We have Matt Hart and we have Gwen Jarabek. So we're going to turn it over to both of you for your presentation. If you want to go through your presentation and take questions afterwards, that would be great if that works for you. And thanks for attending council, and we'll turn the floor over to you, Gwen.
Thanks very much for having us here this afternoon. We first came to council in 2018, December of 2018, with our plans to launch Ty Curran Daycare Society in the village of Baddeck. For anybody who is interested, the words Ty Curran means house of care or house of responsibility, or to be entrusted in the care of. And we felt that that name really embodied the environment for both children and staff that we wanted to create at the daycare. So today I have a very short slide and presentation for you. My goal is to give you a little bit of a background on what we have done to date, share with you what the work that we've been doing under the federal and provincial child care agreement, present to you a high-level overview of our plan and budget, and then tell you how great we think this is going to be for Victoria County. So our background is we came together in 2018, born of the need expressed to us through community members and employers of the need for affordable, reliable childcare in our community. At that point, we hadn't had childcare in over, we say, 30 years, or at least a licensed facility to that extent. So we built our plan and we came to council with a presentation in December of 2018. We wanted to create a natural space that fostered early childhood learning, and that was a child-led learning environment, and that where possible, everything was as local as possible, from the staff in the daycare to the equipment that we purchased. So if you saw on the last slide, the furniture there was actually made by a local builder and local contractor. Our goal was to help create that local economy. And then the other piece that we wanted to do was co-locate at other facilities in community to help keep those other organizations going and sustainable. The more community services that you have located in one space, the more opportunity that you have for each community service to survive, especially when you look at small population bases that perhaps don't have the ability to keep smaller organizations thriving. In March 2019, we were awarded funding to launch the daycare. It was a $100,000 grant. When that grant came out, Victoria County was not listed in the top 10 priorities to receive that funding. So we put together the needs assessment and the data, and were able in that funding round to get a special allocation for our daycare in Baddeck. And then in September 2020, we were able to open our doors. We have 4 infant spaces, which is a rare commodity. A lot of daycares do not do infant spaces, although we hope to see that rise with the additional funding, largely due to the fact that daycare or infant spaces are quite costly to operate. you require certain accessibility standards, such as sprinkler systems, and the child to staff ratios are quite low. It's a 1-to-4 ratio. So it's quite costly from a staffing perspective, as well as a capital investment perspective to fund infant spaces. We have 18 toddler and preschool spaces. We have 4 staff and 1 director. When we are a regulated and licensed child care facility, it means that we have a lot of our operating requirements set out by the province. So our salaries, our daily fees are all regulated by the province, as well as the level of services that we have to provide. So we do have to provide healthy meals, and we do have to follow a certain education curriculum. As such, it gives us very little opportunity and flexibility as a not-for-profit to adjust fees or adjust ratios to create an affordable model. The province has acknowledged that the current funding model is insufficient, but I don't have to tell any of you that. For any of the boards that you sit on, you know that generally the funding models don't particularly necessarily meet the needs, and we find creative ways to meet them. Our funding that we receive from the province covers to 90 to 95% of our salaries alone. So everything else has to be paid for by the parent fees. So that includes capital costs, food. Food can be upwards of $10,000 a year or more per child care facility, because the budget should roughly be about $5 per day per child. So that kind of gives you a bit of a high level overview of what it takes to operate a daycare. Do you want me to say anything before I move? Okay. This past year, as part of an election promise, the federal government announced a plan to introduce $10 a day childcare across the country, modeled on the current childcare system that has been successfully operated in Quebec for a number of years. So the province agreed to $604 million in funding to be dedicated, or the federal government allocated $604 million to the province of Nova Scotia to be distributed over the course of 5 years to achieve over 9,000 new spaces to be opened by December 2022. Those spaces were to be co-located with other community services, and the priorities for those spaces were going to be for infants and underserved areas. And I'd like to note that Victoria County in 2018 went from not being on the province's radar to rank number 2 in priority to have spaces opened. The plan is that over the course of 5 years, the parent daily fees will go from what are roughly $35 to $41 a day right now to $10 a day. So one of the misconceptions is that you have to apply for it, or that it's going to happen right away. So if you guys are getting questions in community, it's a scaled process that's going to happen over the course of the next 5 years. And the idea would be to also increase ECE salaries with this funding. As you can imagine, sometimes carts go before horses. So there's funding to open spaces, but we actually don't know what the new funding model is going to look like and how daycares are going to be funded with $10 a day fees. But as you can see already, from that kind of high level perspective that I gave you, that the funding is already quite a bit of a challenge to meet. We put in a expression of interest to the province in November to expand. Just gonna make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. I am, so I'll stop there. Then I would also just point out before I move on to the next slide is, aside from the funding model not being developed, the government also acknowledges that there are worker shortages, as we are seeing across multiple sectors. In the places that need affordable childcare, they also tend to lack affordable housing, which means that we lack the housing to house the staff that we need in order to run the facilities. And of course, with the world environment, as you know, right now with post-COVID and the Russian war on the Ukraine, we are facing supply chain shortages. So our plan that we submitted to the province, so we wrote this up in November, to expand our Videc site by 22 spaces and to expand to 2 sites north of Smoky, totaling 32 spaces. I'd like to just jog your memory. We opened Videc with $100,000. We ended up actually spending $100,008. We decided that when we were putting this plan into the province, we were going to be as detailed as possible about the spaces that we were targeting to expand so that we could create as sustainable a model as possible. So we made sure that the spaces that we were looking at when we presented our budget to the province, that we outlined everything that we could see with the buildings that we would be sharing with other spaces to identify issues so they could be resolved at the outset, and that we would not have capital repairs as a concern going forward, that we would address those right away. So we were approved for a total budget of $984,000 to expand those 3 sites. It's divided up in different quantities to different potential sites based upon the various requirements that are needed at each site. We've also worked with Efficiency Nova Scotia and continue to do so to bring them into these sites. We did just receive our approval from Efficiency Nova Scotia to retrofit the Bedeque Community Centre with heat pumps, on-demand hot water, new lighting, and new doors to lower the impact of our energy costs and our energy consumption. The provincial mandate was similar to the model that we built when we opened the Bedeque daycare, which was that we should co-locate at other community facilities so that we could be in a space that shares capital and operational costs with other community groups and help sustain those community groups in that space for longer. And so with this funding, we're able to bring capital improvements to the space that not only benefit the daycare, but also all of the other groups that operate at the spaces. And then, of course, when we look at our centers that we are potentially looking at locating, none of these have been finalized yet, so we want to be a little bit cautious on this, on the mentioning of the spaces at this point. What ends up happening then is once we bring in this capital investment to those spaces, then the model will be a rental model going forward, so that the daycare would, in the budget, have a rent that they would then pay to these spaces. So if you guys can think of any community center in your community right now that are probably no doubt even coming to this table, struggling with volunteer labor to try to keep these spaces going that are vital for community. When we bring our daycare into that space and share it with them, then our liability, which is our rent, becomes their asset for sustainable community development. And that's the kind of holistic approach that we've been trying to take throughout this whole time. And along with that, bring early childhood education for our children. We feel that it will have significant benefit to the communities in Victoria County. Firstly, it's licensed and affordable childcare that will be $10 a day. So what that means is parents have a regulated and accountable system that they're sending their children to. There's standards on toilets and toys and food and portions and heights, like everything is reviewed with a fine-tooth comb. It provides more choices for families, especially when we start getting to that $10 a day. I mean, just imagine there are families that are making that choice right now to not put their children in childcare because it's $41 a day. When that changes to $10 a day, that's going to make a huge impact for our families that are really struggling right now on single incomes to provide for their families. We made the choice also to ensure that our daycares have benefits packages. So we have an employee assistance program, a health program, and a dental program, which is not a common feature of daycares at this time, but we do hope that it is something that will catch on because those benefits packages are particularly important. We expect that over 50%, and I hope even more, but I want to be modest with this number, we expect that over 50% of that $984,000 in funding will actually go into businesses in each of these communities through contract work in order to get that the space is up to spec for the daycare. I would like it to be more, but we don't always have the skills that we need in the communities. But please know that we are being intentional about that we are looking out for referrals to local builders, local contractors, local plumbers that are on the ground and in community to be a part of this project with us. Having been working on the project now, we received our official approval for funding. It was supposed to be in December, but it took a while.
I'd say mid-March.
Mid-March. So we received our official approval for funding at that point. And since then, we don't want to make any promises again, but we do expect that we'll be able to exceed the initial projected spaces that we had originally forecast, but we will see how that goes. We hope that these efforts will be a part of lifting children and families out of poverty by giving children a space that is safe, focusing on early childhood education so that families can participate in the workforce. And we also believe that this work will have positive impacts to local businesses who face persistent recruitment and retention efforts. So we did come today to the council with an ask on all three levels of the funding that the council has for development, capital, and operational expenses. You guys will, I guess, when you guys sit to review the application, you will see the details of it. We are hoping to have that support for capital funding. We are hoping to have that support for operational costs, which we would direct to food and oil. We thought that if we were going to receive, if we would benefit from funding from the council, that we would direct funding directly to the children, so that if we get funding for operations, then we're going to put that funding into the food that we feed the children on the daily basis. So that kind of summarizes our presentation in 9 minutes, guys.
She started it late, so.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation, great information. So I know there are some questions, and I'd like to open it up and perhaps start with Councillor Patterson. Any questions or comments for Gwen? And
thank you, Warden. Kind of an odd question to start, but who designed your logo with the Celtic Cross as the
Actually, that was myself that did that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's catchy, and that's what the logo, of course, is supposed to be, right? So I'd like to thank you for coming to council again, and I'd like to thank you for all the work you're doing on this. Bruce and I go back so far, the dinosaurs just left, but even in those days, we saw, I guess, declining of the population of Victoria County, and it was quite substantial. Like, you know, it was really, really hitting us hard. And the reason for that was most of our younger people were leaving to go elsewhere. And I think a project like yours and other things that are going on will help to attract younger people, which benefit us all, whether it's schools, whether it's shopping, economic activity, and so on and so forth. So I think you're doing a great job of nourishing that, I guess, no pun intended, but you know, wanting families to move. You know, I'm sure one of the first questions young families will ask if they're considering moving here is, do you have daycare? And if you say, no, sorry, we don't, I think you'd probably get stroked off the list pretty quickly. So this is a service that you're providing, which will, you know, benefit all of us in the long run. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Gwen, nice to see you too. I had to see you. Didn't recognize you with a mask on earlier.
For short hair and make it hard.
thank you, Councillor Patterson. Deputy Warden.
Yes, thank you, Warden. And thanks very much, guys, for the presentation. Excellent work. And he's put a lot of time into this. It's been a lot of time. I guess my question is, I'm just wondering, how are you doing as far as getting staff, as far as ECEs? Have you looked in the areas already to see if there's any available, or do you think that's going to be an issue? Or I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, on the ECEs.
Yeah, so when we said we wrote a thorough application to the province, we basically said in that application, we can open the spaces, like we can create the space to open the spaces. We can't guarantee that we're going to be able to staff them. And so that we need the province to be a driver with us in that part, to help fund ECE training, to help make a living wage for ECEs. I mean, right now it's $17. The director, is just a little bit higher than that. We know that those aren't living wages, even for our economy. So we do expect it to be a challenge, and we are advertising for jobs right now. So
I just sent it out this morning.
Yeah.
No, that was my main concern when I heard it, because everything looks great there. That was my only concern. I just know how hard, especially in the North of Smoky area, to get.
Well, and attracting those people to rural areas is another issue, obviously, but that's not a Victoria County problem. That's across Nova Scotia problem as well.
Yep.
In the new provincial kind of guidelines of what they sent us, is they have a plan in place, although the details are a little vague at this point, but retaining those ECE jobs in and around the province of Nova Scotia is definitely on their priority, and paying them a wage that is in line in terms of what they're doing is also hope to come, I think, in this fall, to have that plan in place as well. So
I would add to that, Matt, that they are also changing the pathways to employment as an early childhood educator. So whereas prior to this funding, you needed to have your education completed before you could enter into a role, they now are creating staggered opportunities to enter into the jobs. And so that is something to even talk to people about, right? Like if you're noticing people in your community are wanting a career change, this role, like CCAs, we are changing the, even though it's a regulated role in a regulated setting, there are changes coming into play.
No, it's good to hear. And staff shortages are the biggest thing. And I can see this opening up a few people, or freeing up a few people to be available for the staffing shortage.
for that staff, and also for other businesses, because if affordable childcare, remember, this is very important. If we go down to $10 a day daycare, then those parents that are staying home and taking care of children, you're opening them up to go work at other facilities as well, which is also very important. I know Gwen had mentioned in Quebec, where they started this in 1995, it was. So there was a study that I had read, and now Quebec in its current state is one of the highest places in the world where those single family, like mothers of a young child, have entered the workforce. And I believe it only rivals Sweden as the other place.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, it does have an impact. So we'll see. It's going to be a little bit long term, but it'll come.
It'll come. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Organ.
Thanks for the presentation. You said you're looking for 2 places north of Smoky. How many spaces for children will be in these 2 different spots? Or are you looking for a spot first and then
Yes.
spaces?
So we've already looked at a couple of spaces. And so what we can see is one thing when we were working with, we had this, just so you know, we had this kind of weird thing where we had to build a plan, but we couldn't talk to anybody about it. so it was kind of, it was a funny task in trying to build this. And so the couple of spaces that we have looked at, like I said, will exceed our 32. But what we understood from the community members that we spoke to north of Smoky is it would not benefit people who live in Neils Harbor or Cape North to have only one childcare facility in Ingonish, because the commuting distance would be a barrier and it wouldn't be utilized. And it's not true in this case. If you build it, they will come. So we're looking at spaces that are logical to how communities already flowing and operating, that already have multiple activities happening out of these centers, so that we can have 2 that makes sense in the geography that they're located in. We expect the one in Ingonish will have a higher capacity of upwards of 18 to 24. And we're looking at perhaps the 12 to 18 range in the northern space, because we feel that fits the demographic study that we've done so far. So we did do a survey before we did our and you guys shared it, which was really awesome of you all. Thank you. And now we have a wait list. And so that wait list is confirming the numbers that we received in the survey, that there is a bit more of a demand in the Ingonish area. And a demand, but a slight less one in those northern regions. You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, Quinn and Matt. Great presentation. I'm just wondering, like with the new placement in Badek, does that involve like maybe a satellite place, possibly over in Iona or Little Nares area? We had a welcome event in Iona yesterday, and there must have been about 20 kids there under 5. So there's possibilities over in that area too.
So what's interesting about this funding agreement is that is actually a conversation that we can undertake with you. What the province realized when the way they made this funding available and the manners that we had to do our discussions is they realized that once they approved our budgets, that we would have to go back to have a negotiating phase to say, oh, okay, this site's going to be too costly. We have to move here. There's more spaces, there's less. So the government is prepared for us to come back with negotiations and revisions to our plans. And the sooner we do that, the better. So if you felt, I think I could say this, Matt, hey, if you, do I have permission? Do you know what I'm thinking? If you felt that there was a need in your community to do something more localized, then we would come and we would meet and we would talk and we would see what's out there. And if you wanted to prepare your community members in advance, it is better for us to have a single space that we can operate in. And we do have some space requirements that regulations require us to.
It's just that over in that area, a lot of people work in the Sydney, down towards Sydney, and they are looking for childcare development. And it's great to see this. My daughter moved home from Alberta, and she's taking the ECE course in Sydney. So
can I just get her number?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's just the timer.
I think it's cheering us on right now.
It's not the fire alarm. No, it's good. Now we know it works. So, Councillor, are we okay?
Yeah.
Councillor McLeod, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Nice to see you, Wayne. I just have to understand the funding you're talking about for the province for the new satellite, the new is approved or it is going to be approved? It's approved.
It is approved.
Oh, great. And another one, and the funding you're asking for the municipality is for right now just for Badek.
It'll be applied to all sites. So the yeah, so we expect. I mean, we applied under the capital funding for the maximum amount, which I believe was 10. I can't remember the numbers at this point. But we applied for all three funding areas, and we specified in the application where each would go.
Okay.
Food and oil were some big ones. The capital cost to help us with heat pumps because we felt that the heat pumps would benefit all of the people that use the space, all the groups that use the space, not just ours. So we tried to make it as mindful as possible for each of the sites.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm sorry, my mind is completely blanking on the application right now. I'm focused on the presentation.
For the Badek, right now, you will stay there for long?
Yeah, we will stay in Badek. And I think that we can say that our philosophy is that as community development discussions evolve in the village, that we will, as they would in any of the communities that we're a participant in, that we would continue to see our liability, which is our rent, an asset to community development, and be open to those conversations as they occur in community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And do you have any questions? Just a couple of quick questions. Good. And great presentation, great information. And I think you already answered this, Gwen, but you've already met with Communities North, so you know the demand is there. And you've, I know I saw you would put out, I think, a survey too. So excellent work along those lines. The other question I had with the 984 that you have received that funding. I believe that's what, so the 40,000 from us is not, or whatever it is, the amount. Is that contingent on any, is our funding contingent on receiving funding from anyone else?
No.
So
No,
it's not,
no.
it's not
No,
stackable?
no.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I
do.
mean,
Yeah. Now I understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The reason we're asking for the funding is we expect that we're going to go over costs with
Okay.
the current climate that we're in right now. And we're remodeling old stock, old building stock. So even though we over budgeted, we expect that we're going to face demands like a new site that we hadn't thought of.
So the 984, it's split between capital cost and operational,
The 984 is all capital.
all capital.
It is all capital over 3 sites. So that's a substantive investment into 3 buildings across our county. Operational costs will come afterwards through our daily fees and our funding from the province for the quality matters for staffing.
And my final question is, so in essence, you renovate and then you rent the space back? Yeah, similar to.
Yeah, we renovate and then rent back. It's a good deal.
No, it is. Well, any other final questions or comments? So you've submitted your paperwork for the grants. We will deal with that then. I want to thank you for providing the background today. We need that in order to review and consider all the applications received for financial funding. So with that, again, want to thank you for the work you've done in the community and provided a resource that we certainly needed, and you've met that demand. So with that, thank you for your presentation today, and stay tuned when the funding is announced, or when we do our grant funding.
They told us it was going to be announced in December, I think is when we originally thought that we could kind of open to the public, but we're still on hold. So that messaging will come that we can share throughout Victoria County relatively soon. So.
And we will be going into budget deliberations and looking at our grant proposals, probably May. So over the next 6 to 8 weeks, I think we'll probably be making a decision on the applications that we received.
Awesome.
Thank you very
guys
much.
can reach out
Sorry?
to us anytime if you have questions. Like if your constituents are coming to you with questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we can do our best to help answer.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. So I neglected, I was at the first to council. I want to introduce our new transit administrator for Victoria County Transit. Terry, can I just put you on hold for just 2 seconds, please? Sorry. So Keegan, if you want to come forward, please. Keegan, I'm sorry. Is it Keegan? So Keegan, perhaps just introduce yourself. You didn't have the opportunity to meet all our counselors. So I'm just going to go around the table very quickly. The ones that you've already met, I'm just going to ask them to introduce themselves again. And the ones you haven't met, and just keep in mind, I don't think you've met, I'm not sure if you met Councillor McDonald and or Councillor Longwa that just happened to be absent today. So I'm going to start with the chair. So I'm sure you know who she is. So.
Hey, Keegan, Paul McNeil, District 1 Councillor, Iona area, right to the Red Barn. Yep.
Hi, Jackie Organ, District 7. That's from North Ingonish, right around Niels Harbor, White Point, Smellbrook to South Harbor.
In here. Larry Daphne, District 6, Ingonish Beach area.
Yes, thank you. For the second time today, Keegan, pleased to meet you. Fraser Patterson, District 5, which is Willardry, the part that's in Victoria County, and looking forward to working with you.
So Bruce Morrison, we've met. So any quick things you wish to advise council of that you are officially hired and in the position? So anything that you want to share with us?
Nothing formal or anything like that, just that I was hired on last week. We started the transition of taking on a more hands-on in-house organization of the Victoria County Transit. Starting tomorrow, I will be dealing with all the dispatching and booking appointments for the passengers. So yeah, I think tomorrow afternoon will be the official announcement of the new 1855 number. And yeah, the rollout will officially really begin tomorrow.
So thank you very much. And the information that you're referencing will be made public tomorrow on our website and on our social media page and contact numbers, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you very much for coming in and meeting with us this afternoon, and good luck as we move forward. We want to see our transit become fairly successful. So thank you very much. And
Thank you all.
Look forward to
Looking
work.
forward to it.
thank you.
All right.
So Terry, you can come forward now. Sorry about that. Senior's moment for me. So we'd like to welcome Terry Smith from Destination Cape Breton. He is the CEO, and he has a presentation to bring to council this afternoon. So welcome to Victoria County as always, Terry, and we look forward to your presentation. So turn it over to you, and if there's any questions, you can take them after the presentation.
For 2 years to be here in person with you all. Just give Dan a second. Actually, you know, while you're doing that, I'm just going to.
I don't know. Can I? Is it all new now because of the? It's like most of the spring, like settings.
No.
Yeah, no. I understand. Lines.
Dan, if you can only get it on the screen, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Just if you press the button on your mic, it turns green and you're live. You won't hear yourself, but we'll be able to hear you much better.
Yes, it's green right now.
It's green, and I'm not sure what, is that somebody's mic or?
Is my time up already?
Sorry, thank you for your presentation. You know what, Terry, I'll time this one, so we're good to go.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. And I'm going to jump right in and just today I'm just going to talk to you about our strategy for the upcoming year and just to highlight a few things that we hope to see this year. And but I wanted to start off and just show you a few of the results, kind of going back to show you where things have been going over a 5-year trend. In terms of the top line, so most of what we do from a marketing perspective is designed to drive people to our website, and hopefully then from our website, they're going to our operators and booking vacations. So this just shows you the 5-year trend. As you can see in 2021 in the blue bar there at the right, we hit a record over 1 million sessions on our website this past year. So the marketing was working very well. So it was up over the previous year by 29%. But also we also track what we call leads, which are clicks from our website out to tourism operators or business sites as well, because that tells us that people are serious about making their plans to come visit. And they also hit a record level last year, and we're up 13%. And a good early indicator for 2022 is just looking at the first quarter of this year, our sessions are already up 59% over last year. So we're on track for a lot of interest anyway. But then where the rubber hits the road, the one thing we always talk about in our industry is heads in beds or room nights sold. And this just shows you the trend. And this is where you really see the impact of the pandemic over the last couple of years.
So going back to 2017, you can see that the numbers were up, and it looks like that there's been a decline in 2018 and 2019. But then if you look at the shared economy, that's Airbnb or VRBO, that's the blue. You can see they've been rising as the licensed accommodations were dropping a little bit. So Airbnbs have been getting a bigger slice of the pie. That's basically what's been happening. But there has been gradual growth each of those years. And then 2020 hits, and we saw a dramatic decline, 55% down in terms of room nights sold with licensed accommodations. In 2021, we saw a bit of a bounce back. It was up 44% over 2020, but still down 37% from 2019. And 263,000 is where it was to the end of November. We don't yet have December's numbers to finalize off the year from Tourism Nova Scotia. And we also saw a bounce back up with those shared economy units from Airbnb. They weren't up as much, but they actually didn't drop as much. So during the pandemic, it seemed that a lot more people were looking to stay in self-contained units. So Airbnb fared better. So it was another tough year for our industry, but we've got some hope. So as we get into the strategy for this year, I wanted to show you what some of the experts in tourism are saying. So the Conference Board of Canada for this year actually projects that visitation to our province will return to pre-pandemic levels in 2022. And they say that's going to be driven by domestic Canadians traveling basically within the country, which they project to be even higher than 2019. That's good news for Cape Breton Island because we're mainly a leisure travel destination. So hopefully that does come to pass. Skift, another travel media company, projects that 2022 will be travel's year of recovery. Expedia basically is projecting that travelers are going to want their next vacation to be their greatest of all trips. Basically, they believe that there's been pent-up demand for travel, but there's also pent-up savings. And they project that people are going to be wanting to stay a little bit longer, spend a little bit more, and treat themselves in the destination. And the last one is just Dr. Strang said this pandemic will end and Omicron is likely the way out of this. So we're going to hold him to that quote. Our goals for this year, it's basically all about trying to get as far back to 2019 levels, pre-pandemic levels as we can. So hopefully registered room nights sold, we're aiming to get to 80% of 2019 levels. Occupancy rates for each of the seasons, similar thing where we're looking to get roughly back to closer to 2019 levels. We're also looking to collaborate with partners to mitigate the labor shortage by all possible means. This is, I'm not going to go through all this, but this is just basically our marketing plan in a slide. We do most of what we do in digital marketing and then content like videos and social media posts and blog posts and photography, which is then mostly shared through digital means. So digital marketing and content marketing, those two biggest categories, that's probably about 80 to 85% of what we do these days because that's the way the world moves. So we design our marketing plan to hit people at different, what Google calls micro moments. So whether they're at the just dreaming phase of where would I like to go on vacation this year, to planning, okay, I've got a week in July. You know, at every step of the process, we have different tactics that we use. And this has been well honed over the past number of years. So we get better and better at our marketing, I think, every year as we go. A couple of the highlights for this year coming up. Year of Music is a program that we're going to be theming things on this year. This year we're hosting a Music Tourism Convention, which is an international gathering of people interested in music tourism. The last one would have been held in 2019 in Liverpool, UK. We're hosting just before Celtic Colors. The convention itself is in Membertou, but there's a pre-tour before the convention that's going to go around the island to places where music is synonymous, like the Gaelic College. We're going to Wagmacook. It's going to Highland Village, for example. And we're also hosting Nova Scotia Music Week in November. We're going to be doing activations, pub takeovers, and pop-up performances in Toronto and Montreal in a couple months. We're also planning a Downtowns music series. I've been discussing this quite a bit with Dan Coffin about how that might look in Victoria County. There's a new music events incubator. We're hoping that we're going to be helping to launch 2 to 3 new music festivals. An inspired song video series. This will be some of our established and up and coming artists doing videos in spectacular locations around the island. And we're also doing a little bit more enhancement of how we promote live music through our activities. Another new thing that we have coming up this year, and this is something that will be launched in just a few weeks, is waterfall season. So we're looking at, our team was looking at ways to try to drive more visitation in the spring. The spring really needs some more work. And Tofino on the West Coast on BC, they did this thing where they looked at a slow period, but they knew they had high waves and a fair bit of storms. So they developed storm watching season. So we talked to Tofino, we learned what we could from them. And we also looked at, through our analytics, we see that every time we post something of a waterfall, what's a video or photo, it gets really strong engagement. So it's popular with people. So we decided we're going to try for this year waterfall season. So I can't say too much more. There's going to be more announced. I don't want to steal the thunder of our launch, which will be in a few weeks, but more to come on that. We're also looking at continuing to build some niche markets. So we're working, some of you may know Adam Langley. We're working closely with Adam on developing luxury and upscale travel experiences. We just partnered with SEPI on sport fishing for the Brador Lake. So that's another thing we're going to be looking at. We worked with the county and with the partnership on a mountain biking strategy, as you all know, just a couple of years ago. So looking to bring that further to fruition. And we're also looking at small meetings as an opportunity for this coming year. What we're seeing is that business travel is going to be slower to come back, but they're projecting that corporations and stuff, especially with more people working remotely, are going to be looking at ways to bring their teams together and going on retreats and things like that. So we think that Cape Breton's perfectly positioned to do that. Another interesting project, this is fairly new, but just wanted to share. So mobile data research. We don't have a lot of great information that's specific to Cape Breton in terms of research. So we're looking to address that. And one of the ways is a mobile data platform that we've just bought into. This will give us really, really good information on who our visitors are, where they're going when they come here, how long they're staying, and so forth. Through this, we look at what we call geofencing or circling different areas on the map, and we can get information that's specific to that area. So we're going to look at regions like the Cabot Trail or the Brador Lake, for example. And then within those regions, there would be districts like Northern Cape Breton, St. Anne's Bay. And then we can also look at specific points of interest, which will usually be businesses or organizations, attractions like Cape Smoky, Highland Village, for a couple of examples. So we're working again with Dan to look at what makes sense for your municipality and in where we want to design those geofencing areas. But this data, when it's done, we'll be sharing it with the municipality, with tourism operators in those various regions, and hopefully maybe even with potential investors. We'll partner with Eric over there to hopefully lure some new businesses to our area as well. So it just it ups our game in terms of making good decisions, but also hopefully helping potential investors make decisions about where they want to invest on the island. And finally, destination development. So I passed out our Rise Again 2030 strategy, our long-term destination development plan for the island. And every year within that strategy, we'll be looking to add new initiatives that we're going to push. And I just highlighted a few that are going to be priorities for us in the coming year. I already mentioned the labor shortage and working with partners and how we can address that. You may have heard just a few weeks ago at Cape Breton University, there was a $2.25 million project for the Cape Breton Island Tourism Training Network. So we're a partner in that, along with the Cape Breton Partnership with CBU, and there will be some, actually there will be, one of the first things is some really good comprehensive research on our labor force shortage, trying to quantify it and categorize it. You know, do we need chefs? Do we need housekeeping staff and so forth? So there's going to be a very detailed assessment of that. We're also looking this year to develop a sustainability plan for the island's tourism industry. And then finally, with our organization, we're looking at evolving our organization to enhance our capacity to deliver upon our mandate. We've got, this is a pretty ambitious plan. Now, it's not all up to us. We work with partners like the municipality, like the partnership, CBU, and others on moving this forward. But we've got an ambitious plan, and we want to make sure that we've got the resources to deliver that. So that's part of what we're going to be working on this year as well. And that is it. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Very good. Great stuff. Thank you, Terry. Yeah, we will open it to questions for sure. So I'll start with Councillor MacLeod. Any questions or comments, please?
Thank you, Terry, for the presentation. A lot of good news, so that's nice to see. Just have a comment. You're talking about your waterfront, waterfall project maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Just if you can put in your radar, Ishkeven. It's a nice fall and a nice trail. We have time with the province to fix the second trail. There will be the bridge trail. Yep. So wonder if your organization could do just advocacy about that when you start with this project, because sure. It sounds like it's a beautiful trail to go to the falls too. Yep. So yeah, just to put in your way, you know, you do list.
Yeah, you know? we can certainly. I'm just going to make a note.
Yeah, Ishkeven Falls. So yeah. we have the main trail and going to the falls, but it's another second trail there too.
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
Sounds, yeah. The province is not helping us with that. So
that's one thing that we're hoping to meet with some provincial folks soon, and one of the things that they've got to look at, I think, is ensuring that the required maintenance on their provincial parks, like Ishkeven, like Cape Smoky, you know, Cape Smoky, sometimes if you go later in the season, it's overgrown. So
yeah.
Fair enough.
Thank you and good luck.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil.
Your Warden, and thank you, Terry, for the presentation. Just a couple of questions. The 18% prediction in rise in visitations, was that before the price of fuel went up? I know I've seen you on the news a number of times.
It was. Yeah.
And do you think that will have a significant effect on that number?
So it may, and where it could is more with a perception. So if you actually did the math, and we sketched out the math, if somebody's driving down from say the Toronto area and coming down and spending a week down here, the price of gas is probably going to cost them about $200 more on their vacation. So if they're spending thousands of dollars on their vacation, for some people, $200, you know, is absorbable. And for some, $200 is a lot. So whether they might cut the trip shorter, we don't think it's going to stop people from traveling so much, but it might change a little bit how they travel.
And just one more question. The cruise ship visitations, where do you see that this year? Like, it's got a significant effect for the Highland Village in Iona, as you know. So I hear it's starting back in May, but how many ships are there this year?
There's about 100, just over 100. Most of them, I think it's 93 in Sydney, and there's 10 in Lewisburg that we know of so far. The question is going to be how many passengers are going to be on those.
Yeah.
So that's a nice number of ships going to be landing. And actually, there's a period, the week just before Celtic Colors is going to be very busy. There's 13 ship calls in 3 days.
Okay.
One day is going to have 5 ships, which has never happened before in Sydney. It has all the makings of a great season. The cruise lines are telling the people at the port that they're happy with where sales have been so far for those cruises. They don't give them necessarily specific numbers on how many passengers are going to be there, but they're happy that and confident that we're going to see a good number of cruise visitors.
Okay, thank you. Good work.
Councilor Organ, any questions for Terry?
Thanks, Terry. Great information. If a small business is starting up in Cape Breton anywhere, how do they get into your destination, Cape Breton, so they can, you utilize all your information to expand their business and stuff like that?
Well, they just have to contact us, and a lot of times it would be from Erica or whatever the rent person would be in whatever area. They're usually in contact with new businesses before we would even know they are here. So it's a great partnership, and yeah, that or oftentimes we'll get contacted by people before they're on the ground when they're just doing their exploration. But they can contact us. We've got a corporate website, destinationcapebreton.ca, and most of the information they could find there.
Thank you, Jackie. Deputy Warden.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Thank you, Terry. Great presentation as usual. I'm glad to see the waterfall event because I think we had it last fall in the major rain event in North Smoky. We had waterfalls everywhere, so it would have been a great day to bring some people around. But a great initiative, though. Yeah, great initiative. Just wondering, I've always had this argument when we met with ministers of tourism and stuff in Halifax of why people come to Nova Scotia. And is there any latest surveys that show, is Cape Breton the reason, is the Cabot Trail the reason, or is it Peggy's Cove, as they like to think? Is there any surveys done to that effect?
Yeah, the last time it was done was a couple of years ago. It would have been pre-pandemic, but and it's Tourism Nova Scotia data itself. The number one reason people come here is the Cabot Trail, not just Cape Breton, the province. Mm-hmm. And it's not even close to what this number 2 is not even close. Okay. So the Cabot Trail is definitely the biggest reason.
Good to hear that. No, yeah. I just, many of them looked at me over the years and thought, no, it's Peggy's Cove, but anyway.
Maybe he can get it paid for us.
Maybe, there's an idea. Wondering if there's any talk with CBU, with Dave Dingwall a couple of years ago. I know he was doing some tours of the areas and we met at the Celtic and stuff. And at that time we were talking about culinary, maybe a program being at the Celtic Lodge. Is there any talks going on or that you're aware of that might be going in that direction of maybe having some kind of education center there?
Yeah, I was aware of some of those discussions, and I think with the pandemic, just all of those visions, I think a lot of them got put on hold. But I'll see if I can find out for you because I'd be interested in knowing too.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great advantage, especially for the North Smoky area. I mean, the Celtic property is sitting there of winter without being used. I think this would be a great opportunity for it. So it's one of the things I'd like to see. But no, I think great work. I think we're very optimistic of what's coming up. Looking forward to a great year. And I think, like Paul said, the price of gas, I think people have saved up so much money, they're going to spend it this year no matter what. So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. But thanks very much.
Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Warden. Just following up from Deputy Warden Daphne's comment about why people come here. When I'm talking to tourists, that's usually the first question I ask, and they give a variety of answers. Going back to my previous monologue where we're trying to retain people with the daycare, I'm also quite surprised the number of people that are here. You talk to them like, why did you move to Cape Breton? Well, I came on vacation and I couldn't believe what it was that I stayed here. So, all of these things are interconnected. I think that's how things work. I'm hopefully, for all our sakes, I guess, would like to see the tourist industry rebound and probably have hopefully one of its most successful years ever. So keep up the good work, Terry, at the helm, and by the fall, I guess we'll know if it was worthwhile or not. Thank you.
Just on that point, this year it'll be the first time we've done it, but it just makes sense that it's done that on our map. We're going to put a plug for the Welcome to Cape Breton website, which if anybody is interested in moving here or investing or whatever, they can find all of that information. Of course, the partnership, that's a site of the partnership. So, yeah.
Thank you. And just a quick comment. Did you have any questions for Terry before? Just, you kind of alluded to the.
Just one. I do want
sorry.
to know when those pubs are happening in Montreal and Toronto, because that would be a fabulous trip.
I think it's the last week in May. Yeah.
Great idea.
Anything else?
No.
No.
Like vacation.
Yeah. Just we see in every community here is the labor shortage. I mean, that's the issue. Even if it comes back to normal, everybody is struggling to find staff. And just wondering if, is this just a little spike, or do you see this being an ongoing issue? Because staffing is huge. It seems to be.
It's
the number one issue.
It's serious, and it's not just here. It's national, and maybe beyond. But there are hotels in Halifax that are closing entire floors because they don't have the staff to service them. So it's a serious and a complex thing. We could try to arrange, and we're looking into these things, but like Victoria Fisheries Co-op does in bringing in temporary workers for their plant. We could do that for tourism, but where do they stay? So or transportation wise, well, he might have to help out, but how do they get back and forth and things like that? So there are a lot of things that have to work together. And tie-ins, the Tourism Industry Association, they're looking at ways that the industry can use technology to be maybe checking in people remotely or things like that won't need as many staff. The downside of something like that is at one point you'll lose the Cape Breton hospitality aspect of it. So anyway, there's a lot of things that have to be looked at, and it's probably going to take a number of years to really tackle it. But
it's interesting, and it's almost like basic infrastructure now. Is having enough staff, and we're seeing it from one end of the county to the other. So hopefully we'll get through the season, and most operations will hire the number of staff that they do need. So. Is there anybody else? Councilor MacLeod?
Thank you to you for the support for the website. Thank you.
Our pleasure. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, thanks.
Good. Anybody else have any other questions for Terry before we send him back over the mountain? So we want to thank you very much for your time and interest in Victoria County as always. Terry, you're a great leader of tourism in Cape Breton. We recognize you for that. So especially the role Destination Cape Breton plays with our tourism industry, because it is between that and fishing, our primary source of employment and our primary industry. So thank you. And we look forward to the next presentation that you'll be doing to council, probably in the fall or before. So with that, we are going to take a 10-minute break. It is 3:13. We'll reconvene at 3:23, please.
And I'll leave these here as well for warrant here.
All right, the next item up for agenda item on our agenda today is the minutes from the council meeting of March 28th, 2022. Those minutes have been circulated to you. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of March 22nd? Hearing none, we have a motion to accept the minutes of March 22nd. Sorry, March 28th, my apologies. Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Organ. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. The minutes are approved. And we'll look at old business and Leanne, please.
Yeah, so I just have a few things that came out of there. So I've contacted Steve McDonald about setting up a meeting with Nova Scotia Public Works. We're expecting that will happen in May. I've also spoken to the village about the question about the tennis court property and what their plans are for that. They have referred it on to a resident who is dealing with on the kindergarten side, I believe. And so I'm waiting to hear back on that. So that was what they're going to get some information and pass it back to me. Heavy garbage is expected to start May 9th. Contingent on responses for the tender north. South will be starting for sure on the 9th. And depending on how the tenders come back, north, it will be starting up there as well. So everyone can start putting their things out, hopefully no more than 2 days prior to their normal day. As we've noted and had a meeting earlier, Victoria County Transit is underway here in, we've taken over the administration of it. We also have sent in an application for funding for a new bus. It got submitted. Thank you to the staff and council that put work into that. It was submitted on time. Hopefully we'll have some good news. Just let everyone know, we're scheduled to do a regional EMO exercise. We've been planning for this, doing some homework prior to doing this regional. So that's mostly for your information purposes. I was scheduled to have a call with Nick Charlton for next steps on the courthouse building. He was out of, I'm not sure exactly where he was, but he was out of Wi-Fi service for a lot of the week. And then when he got back into town, we didn't connect. So I'm expected to have another call with Nick regarding cost estimates. Jackie, you had a note about the water pipe in Ocean View Drive. That work will be done when the water dissipates from there. So which kind of a roundabout way, but they know about it. They have pictures, they've assessed it, and they will be working on that as soon as they can. Fraser had his committee minutes policy passed around. I did not receive any comments back. I'm not sure if Fraser did related to it, but we're going to have another meeting related to some stuff that Steph learned on some council protocols, meeting processes. So hopefully we'll take something into account on
Just
that
on
as
that,
well.
Leanne, you mentioned the role, if any, for the special committee. That's one of the items we have.
Right, yeah, so we're gonna look at
There's
that.
also a couple of other things. What minutes will be included? And I've reached out to Alderwood and haven't heard back yet. And the other one, the 10-day period or whatever, that is still not
Right, yeah,
finalized.
so we'll clean that up
Yeah,
and
we'll
and
get
get
it cleaned up
something done.
and
Yeah.
get to council. Yeah.
And the Ukrainian survey that Barb and Ursula had been working on has been approved, and that will be launched tomorrow on our website. So thanks everyone for their work on that.
May 9th is public knowledge for heavy garbage.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. For South anyway.
Thanks, Warden. Ursula will put that up on the website and everything and have the listing of it.
We'll be doing a blitz on it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Anything else? That it? Any questions, any further questions or comments in regard to old business, or does anybody have any old business from the March 28th meeting? I just had one, if I could. I know we talked about the no mow May. So who's like, when Mary Tull was here, she talked about, they don't, suggested residents not mow their lawns in May. And she thought there would be signage. Is that something from us or from them?
They are looking into that, and I think signs will be available either to be purchased or that's what I've heard, that signs will be available for purchase to put on your lawn. And we will be putting some out here, no matter which way they come to us. We will be promoting it.
All our facilities will be no mow May.
All our facilities.
Great. So
You show the dandelions grow better after you cut them once.
In June.
yeah, in June. Okay, we're going to move on to CAO's report and new business, please.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as we've mentioned here before, and with Keegan Campbell, who introduced himself earlier, our VCT is in transition. As of tomorrow, there will be a new phone number, and so please check our website, and we will be getting the information out every way that we can to pass on the phone numbers for calling to call our dispatch. From a few of our departments in finance. So Alex was with the warden, I believe, for a fire services committee to discuss some different funding structures related to that. Councilor McLeod was also there, correct. We're going to be doing budgeting soon. We have submitted an application, an ICIP application. I think it's the last call for ICIP for Ingonish for water and sewer extensions. Just to let everyone know, so that's one of the applications that we have put in. A lot of work goes into all of these applications. So I want to say just at the end something about all the applications that we've done, but that's our finance department. In recreation and active living, Lydia took part in the placemaking event in Dingwall with Councillor McDonald down north last Thursday. It went really well. There was 16 people in attendance, and 8 of those people signed up for a potential committee looking to form to develop that placemaking site. So that's really great. We were super pleased with that. She is also going to help with planning for accessibility engagement sessions, which will be getting some word out and communications out about having those in May, June. We are looking at, unfortunately, we are going to be doing some work. Fortunately, we're going to be doing some work on our community gardens in back here of the courthouse, which means that the beds that are there now have to be taken down. So we are hoping that residents are patient with us. We are going to be removing them, but putting new ones in because the wood is rotten on them. So please be patient with us. We're not taking any applications for new beds for this year yet until the new ones are there. In our tourism department, Dan has been working with a couple of different groups on a winter market readiness assessment project. It is 90% complete right now, and he's getting valuable insight coming from this project. He's also working with Seawall Trail and getting awareness for the Seawall Trail project. And as Terry has been talking about the tourism strategy from Destination Cape Breton, we are also looking at our own tourism strategy, and it's in the early stages of consulting with tourism stakeholders. On the community development side, Dan's been working really hard on the trails. So him and Lydia did a lot of work and completed an application for Infrastructure Canada. I believe he sent out a document to everyone today on a trails update with numbers on it, which we'll be taking forward for capital. But just remember, this was something that was approved last year as a priority set by council. So giving you some updates on that. Also placemaking, they've had the community meeting in Dingwall. They're also planning, there was one in Ingonish as well. And they are planning some follow-up meetings to take place over the next few months in Iona, Ross Ferry, and St. Anne's. On his community master planning project that's happening, the communities of Ingonish and Bedeque have expressed a desire to have community master plans done up. If you know of any other communities that are interested in it, please pass them on to Dan so that he can add it to the list for the next ones. In Public Works, so a few things from out there. We've hired a clean internship person for a 16-week term, and this person is going to focus on waste diversion, so getting some education out on waste diversion. We have a tender out for a new side loader. We have the tender also for heavy garbage, and we have received bids back on tenders for a new warehouse here in Bedeque and a transfer site in Dingwall, and we will be bringing those numbers forward for council to have consideration on for budget discussions for those two buildings. Our reuse building is set to open April 30th, and at our last council, we discussed who the lucky groups were for having that. And as all know, this is Easter weekend. We will be doing double collection days. Kelly's letting me know the side loader tender is not out yet. She's working on it right now. So I'm glad, good to see everybody's watching. And I like to know that the information is correct. So thanks, Kelly. So 2 double collection days. Please check our website and our social media messaging. The double days will be April 13th and April 20th. So if you're affected on Friday and Monday, your garbage will be collected on a different day. Senior Safety had a few things going on. So she's working on an email distribution list for sending out the weekly Senior Safety newsletters. She's been working on the Uncommon Room, which she's been talking about in the past. Also grade 3 pen pals. She's been very involved in Keegan getting set up with transit so that she can help our seniors get affordable transportation to their different appointments and outings and whatnot. She's also been very involved in virtual seniors lunches. She says she's having a slight increase in inquiries from individual seniors around the communities, primarily seeking information about different resources. So that's great to see that the awareness of this position is out, and so people are using that. So that's good. She's also been involved with Bold on the seniors drop-in. Seniors drop-in is over at Bold on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 until noon. And she's been taking a really active role on our accessibility advisory committee, and hopefully getting us set up with an accessibility plan. In economic development, so Erica is back from a trip to Whistler. She attended an ICSC conference in Whistler last week and did some best practice mission and talked to some interesting individuals out there about how great it is to be in Victoria County. She will be presenting later on the Ingonish Housing Survey, and she is doing ongoing business advisory work with businesses that are here and with other potential connections for businesses. And just a couple of other things. We've received word from the UARB that our responses to the Neils Harbor Water Treatment Plant have been accepted. So that's great. And just to let you know that the warden and I will be presenting at the village meeting that is happening April 25th. So we've been preparing for that behind the scenes for the last while. And just one last thing, we have several job postings right now on our website. So if there's anyone out there that is interested in working for us, it's a great place to work. Have a look at our website.
Two things. One,
Yes, sir.
Have you started working on your presentation to the village? Like, can you give us a Reader's Digest version of?
We have started. We don't have anything concrete just yet. Okay. But when we do, we'll be passing it on.
Okay, thank you. And secondly, the intern working on waste reduction.
Yep. Would
it be possible for them to do community meetings? Because I think they're the most effective. People, you put it in the bag, like you literally put it in the bag kind of thing. And I think people will be more educated than just reading a paper, reading a flyer or whatever. That's just my opinion. I mean, if they can do it, maybe
we'll probably be relying on communications to come up with a process or a plan on what the best way to get the information out is. So we'll be, I don't know if that is part of what their
Yeah, that's
actual role is,
just a suggestion.
but yeah, that is a good suggestion. So yeah,
Yep.
we'll take that.
Yeah, thank you.
Deputy Warden.
Yeah, just a quick question on the meeting with the Village of Beck. Is it 6:30? I'm just wondering what time.
6:30.
6:30 that night?
Yeah.
And that's open to everyone, is it? Or-
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
I believe so. Yes.
Councillor McNeil.
So we've updated some budget numbers on some things that, on some catch up and some repairs and maintenance that we now know about. And so it's back with GA Eisner Consulting, and we're gathering some information. We're expecting them to be coming to council in the next, I'd say in the next couple of months. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I'm hoping for the village meeting that you'll have I'd like to know if you are attending. I believe we will. I can secure some seats. I expect there's limited capacity, so I want to make sure if you are attending, let me know so we can get you a reserved seat. Yep. So good. Any other questions or comments in regards to new business based on the CAO's report? Does anybody have new business they wish to report this evening? New business. Do you have new business, sir?
For the last 2 weeks, basically, I guess there's been a lot of discussion about it. Deputy Warden Daphne got an email the other evening where it was postponed indefinitely. I think that's the word they used. And then the next day, the FCN sent out a communique regarding the budget, and they're continuing to negotiate, I guess is the question. Interestingly, on the CBC website yesterday, Saskatchewan, their municipalities association, the president of that, spoke out against it and talked about the figures it would cost them. So therefore, I would like to where's my I would like to move that we send a letter to the Minister of Public Safety somewhere, Marco Mendocino, expressing our concern about the who's going to pay the RCMP retroactive pay. I did send an email around earlier with a rough, idea of what I might say, but that can be modified or whatever. But and speaking about who said what, the minister said he hinted that talks are in the works to address the added cost of municipalities. So he didn't shut the door anyway. So, and I think, it may not make any difference, but we don't know if we don't send the letters. So I'd like to move that.
That has been moved by Councillor Patterson. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by the Deputy Warden. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion?
All right.
Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Any other new business from anybody this afternoon? Sorry. All right.
So they just add that we CC that to our MP.
Sure can.
Ami Batiste. Ami Batiste. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. We're going to move on to the taxation update, and that's going to be presented by the CAO.
Yeah. So as of today, we are at 824,000 outstanding, which is 63,000 ahead of last year's number. We have current outstanding of $484,000 compared to $434,000 last year. So about 49,000 behind where we were last year in current, but we're not as worried about current because we think we're going to collect that. In our arrears outstanding, we are 113,000 better this year than we were last year. So 340,000 compared to 452, which is really, really good. That's a lot of work to get to that number. And our tax sale did a lot of, helped a lot on that. And since our last update, $51,734 has come in towards outstanding taxes. So just a couple of things. Reminder letters will go out mid-month. We intend to update these to reflect the fact that new tax bills will be going out soon. So outstanding amounts should be paid ASAP, so you can bring your current outstanding balance back down. The deadline for first notices for our June 21st tax sale is tomorrow. Second notices will be going out this week. And this batch right now includes about 50 properties. So we are making some headway on our outstanding taxes.
Any questions in regard to taxation report? Thank you very much. And I just want to mention both Alex and CFO and Deputy Warden were interviewed by CBC, and they did a great interview. Positive response from our tax sales. So well done. The next item is Department of Public Works. Items or concerns. We'll start with District Number 1.
Thank you, Warden. I have a few here. Red Point East sign must be replaced. I've been getting a lot of phone calls from a couple on the road, and they're concerned that the sign not being up, if an ambulance is looking for the area, they might not go to that area. So also all signs in the district need to be looked at. There's quite a few signs still down in the ditches. Potholes from Little Narrows right to McKay's Point in Washtenaw need to be patched. I was through the road last weekend and it's in pretty bad shape. Not as bad as Middle River Road, but it's getting there. Grading on the gravel roads is needed. And thank you to TIR Public Works. They finally put gravel in the washout repair area in Iona. So thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McLeod, anything for Public Works?
Just for the minute, this is reported to Steve just after the spring. Now in the spring, all the gravel roads that have potholes and everywhere. So just waiting for weather better and they can fix that. Just District 2 potholes, all the rural road.
Thank you. Report from District 2. We're Councillor Patterson.
Thank you. Just one thing, the section of the Kempt Head Road from the Steeles Cross Road to the fire hall, there's some massive potholes on it, so they could be fixed as soon as possible.
That it? Duly noted. Deputy Ward.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Just one thing, there's a couple of issues in Ingonish, but I actually have Steve McDonald, the area manager, coming on Thursday at 9:30 to do a survey of the area to look at everything. So we'll have everything looked after, I'm sure, by Friday. Thank you.
Good to know. Thank you. Councillor Oregon, any public works?
Like Perla said, that we have gravel roads that need to be graded, and I will be sending off other concerns as they come in to Mr. McDonald.
Okay, thank you. I'm just wondering if CAO received anything from Councillor McDonald. I did not. And I received a couple of district concerns from Councillor Longwood, but did you get any public works?
No.
Is it a public works one? I have the other two.
No.
Okay, I'll bring the other two up under district concerns. Any motions this evening? We're going to move on to district concerns. Councillor Oregon.
I have no district concerns for this evening.
Well done. Deputy Warden.
No concerns either, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank Councillor McLeod for all her work on the Victoria County Transit and staff also. Like, there's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes going into it, and definitely do appreciate all the hard work on it. Thank you.
Duly noted. Well done. Thank you for that, Deputy Warden. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you. But just a question, did we ever hear back from Public Works about the naming of the road on the south side of Bullitt? Can't remember what they named it, but it was quite a while ago we submitted it. And we're waiting for Public Works, I think, to reply.
Nothing, no. We'll check into that.
Yeah.
And let you know.
Yeah, it's back in the minutes. It's a numbered road on the south side, so
Right,
it should
yeah.
be easy to find.
We'll check.
Thank you.
Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Warden. Just want to say that we had a great welcome wagon event at the branch 124 Legion, and there was about 100 people there. Alex was there too at a booth. 15 newcomers households were there, and 58 door prizes were given out. Excellent entertainment and free food, and good time was had by all. So it was a good event. And also, I'm wondering if we could set up a meeting with representatives from CBRM about the railway and where they are in concerns with the development and the future of the railway, because there is a possibility there for a trail along there, and we should be looking into it.
You wish to make that in form of a
I'll
motion?
make that a motion. Sorry about that.
No problem. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Second by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, that's it.
You provided your written motion tonight.
Yeah.
Well done. You get a star for that.
I'll get my hands wrapped up.
Councillor McLeod, any district concerns for district number 2?
Just to put in the minutes, to thank you to Alan for all the help. It really so appreciated, and of course, and the staff, and everybody involved, communication department too, financials. So thank you so much for all the hard work for the transition, for the transit, but especially for Alan. It's just a trooper.
Yeah, Alan
Yeah.
did a lot of work on that. Yes, well done.
Well done. And no, that's it. And I know you're going to have a talk about the non-resident property. I received some emails, but I'll leave that for you.
Okay.
What?
Thank you. Barb is sent 2 district concerns, and I'm just going to read them very quickly. She just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the survey that was completed has been completed with the assistance of Ursula, and that survey will be out tomorrow. And what is the official name of that survey? Sorry, or do you? It's called the Ukraine Refugee Support Survey, and it'll be on our website, and we encourage all residents of Victoria County to take a look at it. And we also, just for those people that may be joining us online, we did raise the Ukraine flag today at 2:00 at the courthouse, and staff and council were there, and it's just showing our support and empathy for the residents of the Ukraine. Hopefully better days ahead. The other issue, I just make a motion on her behalf that she would like to give $500 from her district budget to the Little River Port Authority to help offset the cost of porta potty they get every season. Fishermen, tourists, and local beachgoers and other benefit from this. So that's a motion on behalf for her. Do I?
Second.
All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion passed.
Okay, and just a motion from my own district. We have see now that the speed indicator lights have been put up, entering the reduced speed zone at the Irving property. So we just want to acknowledge Transportation, Steve McDonald, for their assistance and the actual installation of those lights. So we'll acknowledge that, make that a motion that we contact them, let them know. Yeah. Calibrate. Okay, and we'll mention that as well, that they might be calibrated. So that's a motion.
I was just going to say, may have to check the car. But anyways, motion on the table, seconder for that motion? Second by Councillor Organ. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And we're going to go to committee reports. Anybody have any committee reports? I'm out of town that day at a meeting. So, and Barb is away. If there's anybody that has an interest in attending on behalf of the municipality, just let Paul know and we'll make sure that we have representation there. Or if there may be a staff person that might be interested, I'll leave that up to Leanne. Any other committee reports? Sure.
Just for Victoria Transit, I know we say that in the beginning with the business, just to put in the minutes, we hired a dispatch administrator, Keegan Campbell, and we put a federal application for some funding in April 7.
Okay, good. And Fraser, I'm not sure, I want to double check any committee reports, just so sometimes I know that, okay, you're good. I just want to report on one, the accessibility committee met last Thursday. We are coming up with a communication plan, thanks to Ursula, and we're also looking at a plan that we seem will fit very well with Victoria County, and it's from the town of Yarmouth. So we'll be kind of moving forward on that. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, related to that, we're going to be going out and doing public consultation. So we will be going around to all the different districts, and we're going to pair that up with the municipal boundary review. So we'll be killing two birds with one stone.
Is that it for committee reports? So correspondence, I have some that I want to speak to. And does there anybody else have any correspondence before I speak to this? So I have received 4 letters in regards to the out of province taxes that's been implemented by the province of Nova Scotia effective April 1st. And keep in mind that this is a provincial tax and it has been implemented by the Nova Scotia Department of Finance. Details are very limited as we speak. Residents have addressed their concerns. Any letters that I've received, if you haven't been copied, I make sure that any of those that you weren't copied on that I shared with you, they are expressing their concerns about the cost of this tax. It's not, again, not a municipal tax. They are referencing it as a property tax. However, personally, I'm hesitant to comment too much on it because we have not received very much information on this. So perhaps maybe our approach should be to contact the province and have somebody come down and give us a proper background and what the potential implications could be to rural municipalities such as ours. Go ahead.
So until that happens, until somebody comes here to speak about it, I do have some information from the province that came out on a listserv. It's related to non-resident provincial deed transfer tax and non-resident property tax. And there's 3 pieces of information that they wanted to share. One is that both of these tax measures are to be administered by the province. They are not municipal. We are not gaining anything from this. It is administered by the province and kept by the province. The second piece is that the Department of Finance and Treasury Board has developed a web page with more information for each of these tax measures, which is on the Nova Scotia site. And we'll put that information up on our website. So for anyone who is interested in getting information from the province, we'll put the link there. And then they also said that Finance and Treasury Board has provided 2 email addresses specific to the non-resident deed transfer and non-resident property tax initiatives. We'd ask that municipalities direct all public inquiries to the below emails. So one of them is nspropertytax@novascotia.com, and the other one is nsdeedtransfertax@novascotia. Sorry, they're both novascotia.ca. So we'll be putting that information up on our website also for anyone who is concerned with it.
And I just want to add too that in the absence of Councillor Longva, she's also referenced that she's been contacted by several residents in her district as well. So we know there's a lot of properties owned in the municipality of Victoria by foreign ownership, and we understand their concerns, but at this point, we want to get more information before we make any our plan forward. So does anybody else have any comments or? Yes, sir.
It's further evidence that the province doesn't consult with municipalities on issues. And it's been brought up in the past by this council, and I'm sure many councils throughout Nova Scotia and NSFM too. And hopefully in the future, they'll consider the municipalities more than what they are now.
That was a very good point, and this is absolutely a perfect example of very little information being released, and I think it's created some confusion, particularly using the preference of property tax, because people will associate it with the municipality.
And deed transfer tax.
Deed transfer. Yeah. So just to reinforce what both CAO and Councillor McNeil said, those inquiries go to the Department of Finance and the Premier of Nova Scotia. That's where those inquiries should be sent, and we're going to wait till we get more information from them as well, and we will have a list of questions for them, very similar to what some of our residents have been asking. So thank you for that. Any other correspondence that we need to? Was there a proclamation for Limes? We did that. Okay.
All the correspondence has been forwarded.
Okay. And I just want to say that I did respond to the individuals that sent me notes that their correspondence would be tabled at council, and any other councillors that received the same, those documents have been circulated and they will be kept in the minutes package as well. So they have been tabled. So those people that sent in their information, we have taken it quite seriously and added it to our correspondence from a formal perspective. So that concludes our council session tonight. Our next council session is April 28th. Is that correct? Or that's a Wednesday? It should, yeah.
No, it's April 25th, which is It's April 25th at 2 p.m., which is coincidentally the same day as the village meeting.
Yep.
The
The village
village
meetings.
meeting's at 6:30. Yes. Picture day that day.
We're updating our website. So I had a note said April 28th. That's why I was just checking to clarify. So it should be the 25th. I'm just going to rip that note up. So our next council meeting will be April 25th, Monday, 2:00. All right. So that concludes our council session for today. It's been moved by Councillor McNeil to adjourn. We are adjourned. There weren't any questions coming.